I'm going to start it right. In the name of God, the most beneficent, the most merciful. I am so humbled and so honored to be in this space with all of you. Reverend Tony, I don't even know what to say about you, but he's ride or die. He picks up that phone call, and you tell him where there's some good trouble, and the man is outside. He don't ask me no question. He don't say why, who. He just says, tell me the time and the location, and Reverend Tony's outside. And right behind him is Reverend Billy. These are what we call the outside preachers, because there's plenty of preachers sitting inside the four walls of the church with a Rolex watch and a Cadillac out in the parking lot. But when you're looking for them in the street where the people are hurt and heartbroken, and when there is loss, I can't find them. But I definitely find Reverend Tony and Reverend Bill in them streets all the time, every time. So they told you I was Palestinian because that's very important point about me. But the other thing I need to tell you that's going to make all of what I'm going to say make even more sense is I'm from Brooklyn, New York. Born and raised and bred and educated, daughter of a bodega owner in Crown Heights. So I just want to make sure that you got the full picture, because then it all makes sense. I feel like I'm in community. I feel hope. I feel the Lord in this room right now with all of us. Reverend Tony invited me here because he knows I love Jesus. And he knows the Muslims love Jesus. And you all know that Jesus is very revered amongst the Muslims. In fact, we mention Jesus in our holy book more than we mention the Prophet Muhammad, may peace and blessings be upon him. We have an entire chapter in our holy book that is dedicated to the pious Virgin Mary. So that is who we come in that spirit, because we are truly all connected. We are all the children of Abraham. I'm also honored to be in space with the folks that grace the stage today. Nene Taylor, she be outside. I don't know if the lady ever be inside. Like, I don't even know if Nene got an inside place to be, because she's always outside. 10 toes down. Consistent. Fearless. And she gonna say what everybody else is thinking but don't want to say. And then you got Hazami. I mean, you all saw this beautiful little human right here. Hazami be outside. She's a mom, she's a wife, and she's all the way outside. And she has been 10 toes down for the Palestinian people in some of the most dangerous situations. Snow, sleet, Hazami don't care. She gonna wrap that hair up, and she's gonna be outside. And so I just wanna say congratulations to my sisters. Sometimes we don't know that we're living history. We think it's just right now, and we kind of moving around like this is just what it is. But I promise you, generations of your church to come are going to say, us, we had Nene Taylor on our stage at Community of Hope AME. We had Hazami, but that's like the people that look back now and say, oh, Malcolm X, he spoke at my university. Kwame Ture, he came to my church. But at the time when Kwame and Malcolm were actually in the streets, or all the folks that you know, we didn't really think about it like that. It was just another day, another preacher came, another person came to the church. So we're making some history out here, because I'm in the business of making history. And so we're going to talk a little bit about where we are and what's going on. Because everybody's outside right now talking to me about Donald Trump. Every day somebody's talking to me, talking about like it's the end of the world. Like it's about to all go down. So let me just be really clear. We are in a serious situation. So I'm not going to take that away from us. But it ain't the end of the world. Because the people in this country want me to believe that Donald Trump created racism. That all of a sudden, everybody's all up and, oh, man, oh, this racist, the white supremacists are outside, the people in power, this is what they're doing. And I'm thinking to myself, where have you been the last 400 years in this country? Because I'm a little confused. You know, for folks like us who are outside in the street, when Eric Garner got choked to death by an NYPD police officer, President Obama was the president at that time. Mike Brown in Ferguson, Freddie Gray. So we always act brand new when the person who's in the White House ain't from the party we associated with. This is not how it works. And in fact, that is the reason why we are here, Reverend Tony. Because the people are tired of hypocrites. The people are tired of you telling them that somebody is with them when they ain't with them. And so what the people are looking for is the truth. Because God loves the truth. And in Islam, we are taught that you stand up against injustice, even if it's against your own parents. If my parents are engaging in injustice, my faith prescribes that I stand up to the people that birthed me. So I don't care if it's Joe Biden, if it's Donald Trump, if it's President Obama, it don't matter to me. Wrong is wrong, no matter who does it. That's what the people are looking for. Our people want to live. They want to thrive. They want to give their children a good life. And that's for everybody. Reverend Tony knows I go across the country. I just came from Detroit yesterday. Actually, I came this morning. And I had to make sure that we sent a message to Reverend Tony that there's a snowstorm in Detroit right now. But I plan, God plans, and God wins every time. Because God was like, you gonna make it to the church today. And there was a snowstorm. I took a video of it. I couldn't believe the plane was moving. I said, Lord, have mercy. I don't even know how the pilot sees where he's going. But the Lord said, you gonna make it. And I got here right on time. Exactly. When they said 8:54 a.m. I was gonna land, I landed. Because that's what the Lord decreed. Because at the end of the day, that's who's in charge. Ain't no Donald Trump in charge of my life, my friends. Ain't Donald Trump in charge of you. This idea that we put all this power in the hands of people who, number one, don't really have that power and don't deserve that power. I'm not afraid of Donald Trump. I'm not afraid of white supremacists or bigots. My only fear is fear of the Lord. And it ain't even that kind of fear that you think. I fear letting my Lord down. Because the Lord has blessed me in so many ways. You know, when I was at Women's March, and Reverend Tony knows this, the white supremacists, they was threatening me. They were sending mail to my mother's house. They were rolling up. I went to University of Southern Florida, and the man, it was crazy. Guns, you name it, it happened to me. And one day, a white woman at the Women's March called me over. She said, come over here. I want to know why you stay outside. Why are you not afraid? Like, I don't understand all this death threats, the FBI showing up every other day. Like, I need to understand. I said, well, I'm going to let you understand something. In Islam, we believe that when we are born, the day that we die is already decreed. So the opposition don't got power over my last day. So why, if I know that my day is going to come regardless, I'm not afraid of nobody taking me out. In fact, I would be honored to die a martyr in the cause of justice. I'm not afraid. I lived a good life. And God gave me a lot of blessings. Many of you know, as a Palestinian, I watched for 16 months. 16 months. All of you watched the videos. Babies getting blown up, people's flesh burning in the tents, massacring entire lineages of families. I watched that. You watched that. The difference between you and me is that you're a human being whose heart was broken over things and people that you don't know. I want to add a layer here. Those are my people. So when you watch the video, what I did is I screenshotted the video and I started zooming in to see if I could recognize people in the video. This is what we witnessed. And what makes it worse is that my taxpayer dollars are paying to kill my own people. We work hard in this country, leave our kids, and we go out here and hustle so we could make an honest living to pay our mortgage and pay our bills. And then I go pay this government in hopes that they give my resources to health care or to education or to affordable housing or to take our houseless sisters and brothers off the streets. But instead, they'll take those billions of dollars to bomb people across the world. So I want you to understand what I was sitting with. I was sitting in a complicity that I, in fact, did not give any authority over. But I also felt like I had to do more. At some point, we're going to have to stand up to this country. There's so many moments in this country that I sat back and I said to myself, I don't need no DEI for me to feel accepted. You know where the DEI programs came from? That was just a reaffirmation of racism. Because if you weren't racist, then you wouldn't need DEI to say that black qualified women should be hired. I never heard of an unqualified black man getting a job, because the damn qualified ones don't even be getting jobs like that. And so I'm not saying that we shouldn't be mad about the dismantlement of DEI programs who are giving our people opportunities they would not otherwise had. But let's understand where it came from. Why do you need a policy to hire people based on merit and qualification? Why do you need a policy that says you should respect your employees wherever they are from, where they can feel seen and respected and dignified regardless of who they are? Imagine that in a country like the United States. We gotta make a policy about that. It can't be just innate to us or just something natural where we say, we all working together, this is what our job is, we're gonna do the best that we can do, and that's it. Black women are some of the most educated in this country. They are getting, I know women that put me to shame who have 4 or 5 degrees, and they always gotta work harder than everybody else. Listen, there's so much things to say, we're gonna be here the next Sunday. You know, this is for folks, we are a people of history. We all know where we came from and the sacrifices that were made so that you and I can sit in the Community of Hope AME Church. Because sometimes we sit in a seat and we don't sit and think about how we got here. Somebody sacrificed so you could be here today. And so all of us in many different ways are our ancestors' wildest dreams manifested. You don't think that I think about my great Palestinian grandmothers? I am their wildest dream manifested. Look at me, born and raised in the United States, very Palestinian, standing here preaching at the Community of Hope AME Church, standing on the highest stage of the Women's March. They tell me Donald Trump. Sit for a second and think where this country and how it even started. You think I'm surprised there's a U.S.-funded genocide in Gaza? This country was founded on genocide. Genocide of an indigenous people. This country was founded on the enslavement of black people. And let's be clear, please. I've been having to teach my own people this. I don't say slaves. There's no slaves in this world. The folks who were enslaved from Africa, they were, many of them, scholars, people of community, people who had jobs, people who had families, people with culture, people with language and music. About 25% of enslaved African people were Muslims. Many of you know Georgetown. One of the major financiers of Georgetown was a Muslim. He was an enslaved man who became free and figured out how to navigate the system to become a financier of a very important part of this country. You've seen the movies From Prince to Slaves. So a lot of people look at me and you see I lack melanin, my friends. Just so we're clear. I'm clear. I looked at myself in the mirror, I know. But that's also colonization, right? When you come to Palestine, and I hope one day we will all go to a free Palestine, the Holy Land, They got people black like you, Reverend Tony, and people who are blonde, blue eyes in Palestine. Palestine is truly a reflection of the entire world. And so there are reasons some of us look differently, and some of them ain't good reasons. You know, we went from me thinking about sometime when I'm down and I'm like, damn, it's really getting bad out here. As a Muslim American who can stand here and say assalamu alaikum and have hundreds of mosques across this country, including in places like Washington, D.C., I want you to imagine an enslaved Muslim forced into conversion. But what the white slave masters didn't know, Reverend, faith is in the heart. You could force all you want. Nobody could take God out of your heart. And so those enslaved Muslims had to figure out how to be Muslims under the watches of white slave masters. And so you all know about Muslims, we pray 5 times a day. And those enslaved Muslims, they would watch how the sun rises and how the sun sets. And they figured out when the moment of the day to pray in secret and in silence. And then they would watch the seasons come and go, and they would probably approximate when it was going to be the month of Ramadan, which is the blessed month of the year for the Muslims, which is coming up, by the way, at the end of the month. And so I think to myself, when I got people in this country trying to tell me I don't belong, or that our people don't belong, what I know is that somebody worshipped in silence. Somebody persevered under the watches of white slave masters so that my immigrant father can come from Palestine to here and say, assalamu alaikum, and I'm a Muslim. They're not taking those sacrifices away from me. And I'm always going to be unapologetically Muslim because that is something that I owe those who sacrificed for me. And some of the greats in this country, Muhammad Ali. And on Friday, it will be the 60th anniversary of the assassination of Malcolm X al-Hajj Malik Shabazz. And we still say his name. And we still mention him. At the time, Malcolm X was most often named the most hated man in America. But you damn well sure are walking down Malcolm X boulevards all over this country. There are buildings named after Malcolm X. He is in the history books and in the documentaries, and everywhere you look, there will be a story or somewhere that will remind you of a revered man who spoke truth to power and didn't care about the consequences. And guess what? There were grave consequences. Malcolm was a very young man when he got assassinated. And nowadays, they be telling you some stuff about Dr. Martin Luther King, a Christian. Take away from him that he was a pastor and a reverend and a man of faith, moving in his Christian tradition. And they'll tell you all kind of things about Dr. King. Talk about he was a guy that was bringing the white people and the black people together, and he was uniting the people. And why can't you all be more like Dr. Martin Luther King? And y'all out here saying this stuff. Everything we do, Reverend Tony, is in the tradition of the civil rights movement of these United States of America. When they do the die-ins, the sit-ins, when you see them young people blocking the highways, doing all that, that's boycott Target, boycott these people. This is what we are doing. We are not people that are inventing some new tactics. We are standing in a long tradition that was taught to us from those that came before us. So don't let these people confuse you and you start telling the young people, you're doing too much. Go inside. Why are you out here blocking them highways? I'm trying to get to the somewhere. I want, next time you have that thought and you start being like, these young people out here inconveniencing me, ask yourself, damn, who would I have been back in them days when Dr. Martin Luther King and his people were out in these streets? That's what I want you to remember every time you get a little uncomfortable. You know, we are in an unprecedented time. And that's just the fact of the matter. And that's okay. We just got to sit in the reality. We were chosen in this generation. And a lot of times, people of faith, you got to think about something too. A lot of people showed a lot of empathy to the Palestinian people. And you watch the people of Gaza. And in a lot of videos, you watch these people who literally 4 of their children are slaughtered all at one time. And then the mother will look right in the camera and she'll say, Alhamdulillah. That means, praise the Lord. Thank you. You looking at her like, what you mean? You just lost your 4 children and you over here praising the Lord. Because the people of Gaza are a people of faith. They understand that there's a purpose for everything. And that you plan and God plans. And what they believe is that they're going to be reunited with their children in heaven. So if you know that you're going to see your babies again, why are you going to sit here in perpetual mourning? You're going to get up and you're going to go mother some other children who don't have mothers right now. You're going to go pick up the broom and start sweeping in the hospital. You may not know how to give somebody a shot, but you're going to learn, because right now God has a purpose for you. The people of Gaza ain't being tested. Breonna Taylor's mother wasn't being tested. You being tested. God said, I didn't take your child. God said, I didn't choose for you to be in Congo or Sudan. I chose for you to be here in the United States of America. What are you going to do with the blessings that I gave you? I don't know about you, but God gave me a lot of blessings. He gave me a voice. He gave me good health. He gave me conviction. He gave me a deep, unequivocal love for people. He gave me children. He gave me everything. And the way that we show our gratitude to the Lord is very simple. You use your blessings to alleviate harm and suffering, to elevate God's creation. You know, I think a lot about this country, and a lot of people, the white supremacists, they always tell me, if you don't like it here, go back to where you came from. Well, first of all, I came from Brooklyn, New York. But let's just say we're going to go with what they said. If you want me to go to Palestine, you kind of got to free Palestine before I go back over there. That's another story. So you got to be with us on that. But let's leave that to the side, too. I want to be clear. I don't take this country for granted, because my parents chose to come here. They chose to immigrate to this country. My parents did not want to raise children under a military occupation. My parents wanted me to have a better life and more opportunities than they had, or I would have had, if I was born under a military occupation. So my parents left their parents, their siblings, their neighborhoods, everything that they loved and that they knew, to immigrate to this country. And then I was born in 1980 in Brooklyn, New York. So you better believe I'm going to make my parents' sacrifices worth it to this country. And that's why I do what I do. We have a moment here. And every generation has this time. There's different things that happen at different times in cycles. So now we're here. And I always say to people, if a young person 30, 40 years from now looks back and says, what were them people doing back in 2020, 2022, 2024, 2025? We got to have some good answers. Because I'm not trying to go down as a shameful generation. There's going to be some people where they look back and say, that was a fearless generation. Oh, they weren't scared of them authoritarians. The people started going inward. And we started already seeing the power of that. If you all remember during COVID, and you heard about mutual aid networks, sometimes we got to do for each other. You can't always wait for these people to do for you. I remember during COVID on my street where I live, my street has a lot of old people. I took some postcards. I wrote a note and said, if you want me to go to the pharmacy, you want me to go pick up groceries for you, here's my phone number, call me, I'm available 24 hours a day. I was already going to go for me, so I could always help somebody else. There were people that would die in their homes, and they have neighbors next door. We are all we got. And in this time, in this country, we have a problem. And like I said earlier, I don't take this country for granted, because it did give me opportunities I would not have otherwise had. But in Islam, we say, take what is good and leave what is bad. And so this country got some good in it, because if it didn't, we wouldn't be fighting. We believe there's some potential here. But there's also things we got to let go. This country teaches us something called individualism. They teach you like you good. You got health care, you got a house, you got a car, your kids are in school, you got a job. Don't worry about everybody else. Take care of you and yours and don't worry about everybody else. But we all come from cultures. Whether you come from African American culture, African culture, whether you come in from India, Pakistan, Palestine, Lebanon, Syria, it's different when you go around the world. I've been to South America, Central America. I have been blessed to travel the world. And what I learned in every other place, in every other culture, except American culture, is that there's community. Grandma, auntie, cousin, you know your next door neighbors. Not only do you know who they are and their name, you know their business. You know who got divorced, who got married, what happened, when it happened. Like, this is the kind of interconnectedness that exists all over the world and in our communities that this country has told us leave that. Every man and woman for themselves. I don't prescribe to this kind of culture. A lot of people ask me, and Reverend Tony knows, in 2020, Breonna Taylor, we're coming up on an anniversary of her assassination. Targeted assassination. She was murdered by the LMPD during COVID, if you all remember. But none of you knew about it until May when George Floyd got killed. And that's when everybody found out about Breonna Taylor, because that's another problem we have. Our black brothers deserve all the awareness and all the fight that we have in us, but so do black women. And Breonna Taylor was assassinated by LMPD, and it took months till people said her name. And I am glad that she's going down in history with a legacy. And the work that has been done in her name to pass a ban on no-knock warrants all across the country, and not just to let her die in vain. But anyway, I'm sitting in Brooklyn, New York. I get a call. They're like, where are you at? Where's Tamika Mallory? What do you mean? What happened? There's a black woman in Louisville, Kentucky, who got shot by the LMPD. We said, Lord have mercy, we had no idea. We get up from New York City during a global pandemic, and we went all the way to Louisville, Kentucky. You know, we from New York City. And Louisville ain't exactly matching culture, my friends. Them people, everybody got a gun out there. It'd be normal. They'd be walking in the Walmart, and the gun, some of them got rifles. It's just not the thing that I'm used to in New York City. We went to Louisville, Kentucky, met with Breonna's family, and that was when her boyfriend, Kenny, still was under house arrest at that time. And we went to Louisville, just give you a quick glimpse of the work that a lot of the folks here do. We were in Louisville, met Breonna Taylor's family, and then we went to Indianapolis. And there was a young black boy named Mikhail Rose who was killed by the Indianapolis police. In fact, the Mikhail Rose was one of 3 people that were killed by the Indianapolis police in one day. One of them was a pregnant woman. We knew Mikhail Rose's aunt, so we went to meet to see what we can do to help this family. We're sitting in the home of the aunt of Mikhail Rose. And my colleague, Angelo Pinto, who many of you know, was looking at his phone. And you know me, I'm mom. I said, why are you looking at your phone? We in a serious conversation over here. At some point, he got up and walked out. And I followed him because I thought something happened, maybe something personal, so I had to go outside and be there for my brother. He said, watch this. It was a live stream of George Floyd. So we just came from Breonna Taylor. We're sitting in the home of the aunt of Mikhail Rose, and we're watching the live stream of a murder of a black man all at the same time. It's happening. We could have went back to New York, and we had a car, and we were supposed to go right over the bridge back to Louisville because Indianapolis and Louisville, Kentucky is very easy to get to. But we said no. We said we are going to drive 9.5 hours from Indianapolis to Minneapolis. So those images that you saw in Minneapolis when they were burning down the targets and looting the things and doing all the things, I was there. And I saw some of the most prophetic activism that I've ever seen from the people of Minneapolis. They had enough. Enough was enough. And then from there, we did go back to New York. And we sat together and we said, you know what? Oh, I'm not going to fight for Breonna Taylor from the comforts of my home in Brooklyn, New York. I'm packing my bags. And we rented a house and we moved to Louisville, Kentucky for 5 months. Because Breonna Taylor wasn't just Breonna Taylor. She wasn't just the daughter of Tamika Palmer. Number one, she was the creation of the Lord. And she was someone who we were not just going to allow to get assassinated by the police and just let it go. And we were outside up against the National Guards. We had LMPD put out every police officer, a memo that went out. If you're on vacation, if you're sick, get back into the office, because we're going to meet these people outside. And they named us one by one. And during a global pandemic, they didn't just put us into jail. We were registered in the Department of Corrections during a global pandemic. They put like 20 of us at a time in one cell together. And they charged us with a felony for rolling up to the house of disgraced former Attorney General Daniel Cameron, who, by the way, is a black man, who could not find a way to charge even a single cop in the murder of Breonna Taylor. In fact, he went to a grand jury and he made up some nonsense talking about, okay, maybe that one cop shot into the apartment of some white people. So he forgot about the sacredness of the black body that is no longer with us, and he worried about some walls that got some bullets in it. Reverend Tony taught me this. A lot of people taught me this. Not all your skin folk are your kinfolk. And I also believe that about Muslims too, and about Arabs, and about Palestinians too. So I'm just making sure that we're all clear. And then when I was on the streets of Louisville, I was probably one of two not black people. And so the young people came to me and said, "What are you doing here? Who are you?" I was different. I was different. They never really seen my kind in the West End of Louisville. And I said, you know, I'm an activist and I'm an organizer and I'm here because what happened to Breonna Taylor is not right, and we're never going to let this happen ever again. And I'm here to support and organize. Whatever you need me to do, I'm ready to do it. And then later on, they start asking you your own story. But where are you from? So you know me, I'm very proud. I say I'm from Brooklyn, New York, because I thought the kids would think that was cool. They did think that was cool. But the kids really wanted to know where I was from. That's what they wanted, because I knew that's what they wanted to know. And so then I started to tell them, you know, I'm Palestinian, I'm from this place, and I started really having these little kind of almost fireside chats at this place they called Brianna Square. And fast forward 2024, because we go back and forth to Louisville. 2024, one day I'm going to send the pictures to Reverend Tony so he could send it to your WhatsApp group so you could see. Young black boys, many of them who had aged out of foster care and were hanging out with us in the square, sleeping in the square, eating in the square, and just being with us, started sending me pictures and DMs talking about we outside at the Free Palestine protest. I didn't tell them to. I didn't send them no flyer. They heard there was something, Palestine, they connected it to me, and they said, solidarity goes both ways. And that's what it looks like. It's not about reciprocation. It's about when people see you in a fight and they realize that the fight is the same fight. Trust me, the same people who oppress black people in this country, who want to terrorize your communities with law enforcement, those who would rather put resources in a school district 2, neighborhoods over than to put it in the streets of Washington, D.C., they're the same people who support what's happening in Palestine. I promise you that. And so I come here just to reiterate my unequivocal solidarity. I'm going to be outside. I'm not afraid. And that is the kind of posture we all need in this moment. If you are truly a person of faith, truly believe that there is a God, there's nothing to fear. And what we believe is what is yours and what is meant to be yours will be yours. A lot of people get sad when they don't get a job, Reverend Tony. And they get sad when they thought they had an opportunity, but it didn't kind of come their way. Or they applied to a university and they didn't get the acceptance letter. You know why? Because that wasn't meant for you. That wasn't meant for you. God always got something better for you. Trust me, that is who I am. Every day I embody that. You know how much things the opposition try to take from me? So much. They went as far as going to my publisher. They try to get my book contract canceled. They be trying to go to the university, talk about why you letting this lady speak at the university. All kind of stuff happen. If it ain't meant for me, it's not going to be. And when they take one thing from me, God gives me 5 more things. So I'm not bothered. And so you won't see me on the internet being like, oh my God, it's doomsday in the United States. There's a book that I read by a man named Derek Bell, and it's called Faces at the Bottom of the Well. And he goes through the whole history just to remind us and put us in context. It's always been bad around here. And what we have a responsibility to do in every generation is we just got to make it a little bit better for the generation to come. I'm not trying to save the world. I'm not trying to save the world. I'm just trying to do my part because every generation has a struggle. So this idea that somehow we're going to free this country from all the bad things that are happening or free the world or whatever the things that people say, I'm not really trying to do that. I'm just trying to leave the world a little bit better than when I got here. And I believe we're going to do that. And the last thing that I'll say is this. We did talk a lot about history and about how one day we're going to look back and, say that we had freedom fighters at the church and we're going to read about the people in the books. And that's going to be important to archive the work and the history. But me, I'm going to face the Lord. And that's what we all going to do. Every single one of us one day is going to face the Lord. And the Lord's going to say, what did you do with all the blessings I gave you? What you do walking over the homeless people, you over here acting like there's no injustice that's happening around you? What did you do? Oh, you better believe I got a whole thing. I got notebooks of things. I'm ready to go when the Lord calls me. I'm going to say, Lord, every blessing that you gave me, I used it. Every blessing that you gave me, I used. I woke up thinking about how to alleviate the suffering of your creation. And I also did something about it. Because faith is action. Sitting and preaching in the church or worshiping in a church or in a mosque or in a synagogue or in a temple every Sunday or every Friday or every Saturday, it's not enough. It's not enough. If you truly believe, you're going to go outside and you're going to say, you know what, I see this homeless brother every day. I walk by him. Did you ever think to yourself, say, hey, brother, what's your name? What's your name? Where are you from? Trust me, those people want to have a conversation with you. Because they're invisible to 99% of the people that walk by them every single day. And guess what? The Lord created them too, just so we're all clear. And so my goal in this life is to use every talent that I have to alleviate harm and suffering. And I'm going to speak truth to power, no matter the consequences. Because I know the Lord loves the truth. And they say the truth ain't easy. And sometimes it hurts. That's not my problem. The truth hurts. Sometimes you got to hear the truth. And sometimes, Reverend Tony, our people got to hear the truth. Like you said, I'm outside talking to the powers that be, but sometimes we got to have that conversation. And we have to have the uncomfortable conversations. And I want to say to the young people in this room that you're going to hear a whole lot of things. And people are going to try to make you feel scared and tell you about all the things, and they're taking out the Department of Education, and they're doing all the things and all the stuff, and it sounds really scary out there. But I'm telling you, what we're going through right now ain't nothing compared to what people before you went through. It really ain't. And while we got to stay focused and do the work and make sure our voices are heard in this country and participate in this democracy and be outside and protest and give to the church and give to the social justice activists and to the organizers, we all got things to do. But what I will not do is I will not succumb myself to despair. I'm not going to succumb myself to helplessness and hopelessness, because that is exactly what they want from you. They want you to give up, hands up, and just let them do what they want. We're going to make life hell on earth for these people. And they're going to know that the American people, we're not with that. And what we're going to do is we're going to be consistent. So we're going to tell this man and his friends, you're bad and you're wrong. And if 2028 we get somebody else from another party and they're bad and doing things wrong, we're going to tell them too that they're bad and doing things wrong. I just want to say, I pray, and this is another thing, a supplication. In Islam, we believe that supplications or prayers from those that are heartbroken, that there is no barrier between them and the Lord. And tell me, someone who's watched genocide for 16 months, my heart is shattered. I can't even believe I'm still able to love and still able to go outside. So this supplication that I give you comes from a broken heart. I pray that you are protected. You and all those that you love. I pray that the Lord blesses you with abundance, because there is so much abundance in this world. We do not lack anything in this world. And I pray that that abundance finds you. And then I pray that you use those blessings and abundance to lift others. And that the Lord protects this church and this community and the spirit that is in this church, one that is welcoming and inclusive and says to all of God's creation that you are worthy, that you deserve to be loved. And I pray that one day you will know Gaza for what it is, a beautiful and holy place, and that we will meet on the shores, on the beaches of Gaza. And all we're going to hear, Reverend Tony, is the laughter and joy of the children under clear blue skies, where not a child will fear death. I'm blessed and I'm honored, and I hope to visit you again. And thank you for giving this space and this opportunity today at Community Hope AME Church. Thank you.
Linda Sarsour. My brothers and my sisters, if you can continue to stand. Thank you so much. We are grateful. We are grateful. We are grateful. As Reverend Bill and I have been thinking about this day for a while now, been our prayer we thought about this moment. We talked about this moment and the need for us as a church family to make a statement to region, nation, in the midst of what's